You have to align yourself with your purpose in life, right? You need to cut out all the bullshit that keeps you distracted. Distracted. The Instagram, the pornography, even I would even argue and say excessive gaming, all that. You need to cut it out because these things are actually distracting you from your innate desire for conquest and competition.
Rabi Al Kadi, man, this guy was just opening up our minds to so much new information, breaking the matrix. That was the main thing.
uh, we talk about
Vegetable oil.
we talk about vegetable oil for a good portion of this podcast. But how does that relate to you and your life and living an independent and free life?
It's all about being healthy, man, and having that nutritious health factor in your life is like it just pushes you forward. It propels you forward to have better mental health, better physical health, and then just becoming a better person yourself.
He's an entrepreneur. King Sims is his new project.
He's a pioneer in his field, man. He's the first one to do this. One SIM card that works in multiple locations, more than one country. That's a crazy idea, man. And on top of that, the packaging is so beautiful. It just looks amazing. It looks like, the Rolex of SIM cards. It's just wow. La crème de
Chef's
la
kiss,
crème on
right?
top. Yeah.
Yeah. And he really pops off. You want a guy with high energy? This is a podcast. This is a podcast for y'all. So if you're a dude, check out this podcast. And women can also check out this podcast too.
Yeah, of course. We don't discriminate.
But this is where it all started.
And
And
that was me.
this is where he is right now. All right. Rabia, how did you get from there? What took you to that spot? And how do you turn it around? We all need to know. I need to know.
Of course. Well, the main thing for me, I grew up my whole life struggling with childhood obesity and all that. My parents are divorced, and I was living under like a single mom my whole life and all that. And she wasn't really the best at sort of giving us the best nutrition. Like we were having Macca's. Oh, you guys know Macca's. McDonald's like every day. That's what we call Mac. We call McDonald's in Australia. We call it Macca's. But we were having McDonald's like pretty much like 4 or 5 times a week. So lots of vegetable oils, very very unhealthy vegetable oils, and all this shit. And of course, it sort of it sort of caught up to me. And for me, actually, when I turned about 17, I had lost weight. The first time I lost like 30, 40 kilos. I got down, but then I was focusing on my HSC. It was sort of like our end of year exams, as well as in a relationship and all that. And then I had to leave her. So I sort of experienced like a little bit of heartbreak. And then I just sort of let myself go, and I put back all my weight with interest. And the thing is that my story can resonate with a lot of people struggling with their body, with their weight, with their self-image, because like our bodies are temples, and you really need to see it as a temple. And if you don't take care of your temple, if you make it sure it's messy, if you keep it messy and unhealthy and all that, it will reflect in your mind. Your mind will start to catch up on you, and your bad habits can start to eat you inside. And dealing with your self-image is a very, 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 very complex thing as a man, because especially in this day and age, we have a lot of people. It's just how humans are. We tend to judge accordingly to what we see first, and then we sort of make our assumptions from there. So even though I was very overweight or obese, I was a very like a social guy, very like, I would say I was a bit over social to sort of compensate. But other than that, I was still a very like great guy to be around, like good energy and all that. But deep down, I had a lot of, I would say, a lot of trauma and insecurities that would show. It would show, and especially with the people that would meet me. But the main thing is, going through these past 4 or 5 years of my life, I knew that, especially when I put back on my weight, and it came on like within a span of 3 or 4 years, you know what I mean? Like, I knew that I never wanted to be like this. I knew my potential. I knew how handsome I actually am when I lose weight. And I knew that if I was to continue down this road, sure, I can make money and all that, but I'd live a very, very unhappy and unhealthy lifestyle. And that, to me, is not worth any type of money that any man can get, because the reality is that looking back then, I would literally say I would pay anything, any money, any price. Name a price, and I will pay it, just so that I could look normal, so I could look good, be happy with myself and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And, it a massive cost. Like, to about a year and 7 months ago, I did the sleeve, the surgery. So I cut about 80% of my stomach. And I was meeting someone at the time as well, and she was her own case, but I actually wanted to sort of make a a great shift in my reality. I wanted to make a very, very big shift in my reality to make sure that this time around there was no going back. And I'll be honest with you, this past year, and like 7-8 months, has probably been the most challenging the most challenging times of my life, because every day when I eat and all that, it's constant pain. It's constant. I have to deal with pain every single day as well, because the doctor took more of my stomach than normal. He actually fucked up. He took more than normal. And at the end of the day, every single day, كنت عم بتعلم. Do you know what I mean? Like I was
Learning.
like I was
Yeah.
yeah, I was getting a lot of lessons to say that this is the cost that you have to pay. This is the price you have to pay if you completely not look after yourself. That's the reality. And for me, it came like I completely shifted. I only eat like natural food. I tend to stick to animal food, like meat and all that. I try to keep it simple. I stay away. I did like massive research on vegetable oils and the impacts of vegetable oils, and how it's in everything. And it's also a matrix attack. That's another separate topic. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding.
What do you mean
like,
by a matrix attack? Who's attacking you from the matrix, Rabia?
No. If you actually just look at it, just to briefly explain it to you, vegetable oils, right? Just to give you a little brief history on it. Vegetable oils really came around in the 1970s to 1975s, when the world was going through its first phase of inflation. I was explaining it to Muhammad about the US dollar and everything.
Yeah, last night.
Yeah. And they sort of convinced the world. They literally did it with clever marketing. Ogilvy and Mather were actually responsible. They're sort of like the greatest marketers to ever exist. They convinced the world that vegetable oils and these palm oils are actually heart healthy by pushing the idea that cholesterol is bad. And what they did is that they actually realized that they could make tons amounts of unhealthy oils from corn and bizr, seeds. They actually call vegetables.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a vegetable oil. You can't extract any oil out of a vegetable. It actually all comes from seeds. And Procter and Gamble, which is the first people that made Crisco, they found out that they could make, like beef fat lard. Like they could compress the seeds and all that, and chemically extract as much oil from these seeds, and it looked like beef fat lard, which is what people were used to back in the day. That like pre-1970, everyone cooked with samne, with butter, animal fats and all that, and people never had these instances of cancer, macular degeneration, bad skin, and all these heart problems, high cholesterol. It's actually a recent 50-year phenomenon. And it was actually designed like this because the reality is, and even there are doctors saying now, they don't know why they push this, but it got so embedded that they even convinced the next generation of doctors to tell people to stay away from fats that we were always used to eating, such as butter, beef fat, animal fats. We were all used to eating it. Our bodies were designed to actually eat it because it's very rich in vitamins and minerals. And they got us hooked onto these industrial seed oils because it was so cheap to manufacture. Like they can make a liter of vegetable oil for like 6 cents, something ridiculously, like it's too cheap.
I see.
And if you see how it's actually chemically extracted and how they extract it, you guys would actually vomit, because they extract it. They extract it using these massive oil refineries. Like it looks like if you go see a vegetable oil company It looks like a place where they extract petrol. It looks exactly
Yeah.
like
The Kuwait. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
So they convinced the world that and they convinced doctors,
Mhm.
they convinced nutritionists to follow the USDA, the guidelines, the guidelines, stay away from cholesterol raising fats and all that. But this was probably the best mechanism to sort of reduce the increasing population of the earth and make people very unhealthy. And you see, there's a direct link when people's cancer is going higher and their health is getting worse, and they are sort of relying and they're sort of eating these oils without even knowing, all this stuff that you see from everything like that. It has these vegetable oils, so they achieve two things: one, massive cost reduction, and two, massive detriment in people's health. Now, the second one was the most important one. Why? Because these vegetable oils are now causing, and doctors are starting to speak out about it. If you don't believe me, you can go research Dr. Paul Saladino, Dr. Chris Kenobi, Dr. Peter McCullough. They're all talking about these industrial seed oils, and it has a direct link. You see, if you take these, if you have a diet consisting primarily of this, what happens? Your daghut goes higher. So when your daghut goes higher, who do you see? A doctor. What does he do?
Doctor.
He prescribes you. He prescribes you blood pressure medication. Okay, hold on. Now what if you now
Stop. Stop it.
It's all linked. It's all linked.
So is this like the major part of the plan of the pharma companies, big pharma?
They're all linked. They're all linked.
Yeah.
It's not some actually.
It's all money.
No, it's actually not a conspiracy. There's actually not a conspiracy. You can just go research who owns these pharmaceutical companies and who owns these food companies. The major food companies that own everything, Nestle and all that. They all know what's happening.
No,
But
I agree with you because I agree with you because they did the same thing with smoking back in I think it was in the 40s and 50s. They used to promote it as like a very healthy thing to smoke, and it was like good for you. They would pay doctors to say it was like you should do it. There's always these things run by major corporations to play with your mind and what is actually healthy, what is good for you, and what is not.
Yeah.
So
You know who made smoking sell? All right. You have to understand the marketing behind cigarettes. Marketing behind cigarettes died in around the 50s. So somebody had to come up with a new marketing plan. And who was that? Marlboro. Marlboro was the one manufacturer, the Marlboro Man. If you know the Marlboro Man, like he was a big deal in America. So he was the cool factor in America. So if you don't smoke, you're not cool. And like it's like wow, the things that came after smoking, and they knew all the consequences of smoking. Like picture, it's crazy. It's so fucking sad. I'm sorry, man.
So, all right. So what do we do, Rabia? What do we do about this? All right. There's oils. I get it. Oil and sugar, right? All these things. So many things are out to get us, right? They're addictive. And then you have video games, pornography. What else is out there? Things scamming you, people trying to rip you off, taking Instagram, TikTok. Everything's trying to destroy you. Okay, what am I supposed to do? And how did you get out of it? Because it seems like you've made a transformation, not just physically, but also like mentally about all this, and kind of woke up, right? So what happened? Tell me about it. What should I do?
It starts with a very easy answer, and that answer is choice. At the end of the day, for example, like when I was back in Australia, I was cooking everything in beef fat and all that, because what I realized as well, there was a high rate of people that did my surgery and they kept gaining weight after a year and a half. They kept gaining weight, like they put it all back on, and doctors were not understanding what was happening. I swear to God, they would put all their weight back on, and even sometimes extra. And doctors and nutritionists were like perplexed. They were puzzled. They were like, why are these guys putting on weight? They even have a smaller stomach. It's not possible. But if you go back and you look at it, it's because these doctors and nutritionists, they're taught by the same foundations that pushing all these vegetable oils and all that. And they kept telling their patients, don't eat butter. Don't eat like cholesterol raising fats, like animal fats and all that. The exact advice they were giving them was the advice making them fatter. And they were telling them just cook with canola oil, which is actually from rapeseed, and cook with like vegetable oils and all that because they're low on cholesterol. And then what was happening is a massive phenomena is that after a year and a half, these people are gaining weight again. But how? It's not possible. It's not possible. And you know, I've met so many people that also did the surgery, and they were saying the same thing. Like I'm listening to what the doctor and nutritionist is saying. I'm listening to exactly what they're saying, but I'm still putting on weight. And these doctors as well are actually finding out, believe it or not, it's not even sugar that's actually the problem. It's these vegetable oils, because all the chocolate, you know, everything packaged and processed that has sugar in it is made with vegetable oils. If you don't believe me, you can go actually turn around.
It's all unsaturated fats, right? Is that what it is?
No. So saturated fats are actually good for you. Look at that when they
Yeah.
tell you advice, it's the opposite. Trust me.
Yeah, they're giving you unsaturated. Saturated fats is like the one that you find in butter and like animal fats, which is actually
Yes.
should be consumed because it can actually be broken down in your body much easier,
Good
like really
man.
easily. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
But the unsaturated fats, which is in the oils that you're talking about, because like that's why they tell you to stay away from fried food, because they cook it in these types of oils that are not healthy for your body, filled up unsaturated fats, which ends up, you know, building up in your body and just
Yes.
get digested.
Exactly right. And that's the thing that they're actually realizing. You guys can go research Dr. Chris Kanobi. Vegetable oils specifically, they actually bypass. So because they're actually very toxic with aldehydes, they have a lot of chemical aldehydes in them. Your body to process that amount of toxins goes, whoa, I actually can't process this now. Send it into fat. I'll process it later. So fat itself isn't just like, oh, fat, it's just fat, it stays there. It's not. Fat is also a protection mechanism for your body to store toxins away from your body, to keep it out of your blood system, your blood. Because if it goes inside your blood, you could die. So your body's extraordinarily intelligent. It's like, whoa, what do we do with this? Send it to fat. I can't deal with it now. I'll deal with it later. That's exactly what your body does. To even like prove this point, in Australia, I was cooking. I was frying all my food, and I was mainly frying batata because I love batata.
Spoken like a true Lebanese guy.
To the day I die, I love batata me'liya. But of course, I had to make that choice. It goes back to what I said, and I just went back to what we were always using. I in Australia, I even proved like this sort of hypothesis that I have. I started to fry all my fried foods in beef fat. And once you put fat, once you heat it, the dough, it actually turns into like an oil. It turns into like an oil, and it's actually probably the most delicious thing you guys can ever fry with. And if you don't believe me, McDonald's before 1989, they were cooking all their fried foods in beef fat. You don't believe me? Just go.
Wow, I want to go back then and get a burger. See what,
and if you look at it, no one. Obesity wasn't really that high, and all that. All of them, Five Guys, all of them were cooking everything in beef fat. They were frying everything in beef fat, natural beef fat that our body knows exactly how to process. You guys can check the history.
But I'd actually like to debate you on this point, because like there's multiple factors that can be involved in this situation. Since, for example, before 1989, I feel like people maybe were a bit more active than nowadays, if you know what I mean. And I mean, that's one factor. Plus, I think another reason why they stopped making it with the beef fat is because it's more expensive.
So yes, it is a bit more expensive, but you see, look, I just literally told you guys, in life there's a massive cost to pay. If you try to go the cheap route, you'll get a cheap result. If you try to cook things with bad quality ingredients, it will reflect in your body 1000%, not 100%, 1000%. And there's this direct correlation, but in actuality, if you look at it, there was no reason to shift that. Like even lahams now, they throw away their fat. They throw it away because they have this idea that, oh, it's not good for you. But that's actually the opposite. It's actually the opposite. It's actually very good for you. And our bodies need something extraordinarily important, more important than carbohydrates, and that's called fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamin A, D, K, and K2, and H, and E. Vitamin E, especially. These vitamins are rich in butter, ghee, so samnat al-baqra, It's rich in beef fat, animal fats, mainly beef fat, but it's rich in these vitamins. Why? Because grass is rich in these vitamins and all that. And who eats grass? The cows. Why do you think God created these animals? They are actually eating the nutrients from the grass, extracting it, their bodies are digesting it, and it goes within their body and their cells, and we eat that. Do you understand? That's how it correlates.
I understand.
So we are getting these fat soluble vitamins from animal fats, and it's very, very important. And they've convinced the whole world. Like I'm telling you, it's very bad. It's very bad. I'm talking about like there are 50-year-olds, like 50-year-olds born in 1970. That literally forgot that their mothers and all that were cooking everything in like butter and samna and all that. They literally forgot, and they did that by design because they wanted people's health to get worse. Essentially, it's all connected. The whole connected.
Exactly.
And, go ahead. Sorry.
They don't correct like and instead of like helping you change your lifestyle, and they're just like, here, take some meds, take some take some anti-cholesterol meds or something. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And then you're trapped in this loop.
Exactly. You're stuck in this perpetual cycle of listening to your doctor. Doctor like, oh shit, now you got another problem. Okay, well, here's another prescription for this medication. That medication then causes another side effect. Oh, whoa, you got another issue. Okay, well, to fix that side effect, we need to prescribe you this. And do you see how it's all connected? Like, Muhammad, do you even know in America, people are so dependent on pharmaceuticals. People have like batches of pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
It's a big
medication
circle.
for everything. You think humans were designed like that?
No way. Yeah, exactly.
You think we're designed to live like that? And then they say, oh, this is what the doctor told me. Do you know what I'm trying to say? This is actually this is a genius
power. When they have this kind of when they have this kind of circle, they have power. Right? Like, and it's scary and it's sad. But once you get addicted, it's very hard to stop. Then
exactly. So the addiction. So how do you get out of addiction? Because it's one thing, like, you know this, Rabia. You can now be logically like, oh, I went through all this and now I know this, and so I'm not going to do it. But if you're trapped in a cycle, people do things you know are shitty. Like everyone does things that you know are bad for you, right? Like on a daily basis. We all make bad decisions. So I don't know. Like if you went, but if you went, let's say, Paco.
I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but Rabia said everything you just said. He literally said it's a choice. As long as your mentality is fixated on getting better, then you will get better. Like for me, I have A, B, and C. The only solution is me. I'm the solution. That's it. No one's gonna help me other than me. So that's it. Like there's no medication in the world that can help. No, first of all, every medicine that we have in the world is from the ground. You can grow your medicine, but people choose not to grow because they're lazy, because they don't feel like it. They don't eat by the season. They eat all the time. They want it now. They get it now. And that's the only drawbacks of capitalism is that the now factor, and people will pay for the now.
Yes, I agree with you.
Delivery. Yeah, exactly.
Let me as well give you a tiny little background. Now, the reason why as well what I'm talking about is that I'm actually a dropout pharmacist. I was studying pharmacy in I swear to God, I'm not kidding. I was studying pharmacy in the University of Sydney. I got a very high mark at the end of high school. My dad, they were over the moon. Like, I was a failing student, and I clocked over 90s, 90s in my end of years. And I got into pharmacy at the University of Sydney, one of the most prestigious universities in all of Australia. And like I actually realized as well, studying pharmacy, like I was 2 years in and I dropped out the second year. I worked as a student pharmacist as well for like a year and a half, and I hated what I was doing. Like deep down, people looked up at me with so much like, oh wow, you're so intelligent, you're so smart and all that. But the reality, and I even learned this in pharmacy, is that they're all poisons. That's actually the reality. They're all extracted from, so these drugs as well, they're all extracted from plants. Like for example, opioids are extracted from the poppy seed. They extract it from
Mhm.
poppy seed, and the poppy seed was smoked and used as a relaxant for the body, for anxiety and all that. It was used for the Chinese for thousands of years. Opium essentially, and what had happened, like what I was starting to realize was that these are literally poisons. So like even in Australia, it's called it's called the PSI, the poisons the poisons scheme index. So that's how we reference and we know what drugs to make and all that. It's literally called the poison scheme index. You know what I mean? Like if you took 20 pills of Panadol straight after each other, within maybe an hour you start having liver failure, like immediately, and you probably die. There's a high chance. 20-30 tablets of Panadol, like, you know, we even learned in pharmacy the difference between a medication and a poison is just in the dosage. That's it. And that's realized,
Wow.
this is actually
Yeah.
yeah. And that's when
You're blowing everyone's minds. I love this podcast, Rabia. This is awesome.
you.
Take
You know,
it
you can
down.
actually
Yeah, exactly.
you can actually apply that to a lot of things. The concept of dosage, you know, because also with oils and then the food, like the food that you ingest that we were talking about, if you take it in like certain quantities, you'll be
Moderation.
okay. Yeah, you'll be okay. You know, your body can handle that. But obviously, since we tend to overconsume, we tend to just we constantly make it a consistent thing to eat things that are unhealthy and also do habits that are unhealthy. You know, we start smoking and then we get a nicotine addiction and becomes unhealthy. And, you know, we become lazy because we don't want to go out, or we just don't have the motivation or the will to do anything. And we call it's like, you know, we're resting, or we call it a break, but in reality you're just taking a high dosage of, you know, rest, which is affecting your motivation to do anything. All of this just builds up in your head, and you just have to find a way to learn self-discipline so that you can teach yourself to stay away from taking high dosages of unhealthy, whether it be whether it be substances, or whether it be a habit, or whether it be people, everything. Dosage is, I feel like, it's like the main thing when you want to do anything in life.
That's
Moderation is
100%
key.
right. But even like, for example, as like, just to give back on the example of the vegetable oils, sometimes you see, because it's actually literally in everything, like any chocolates, or it's in everything. It's in everything, and it's scary. It's actually very scary. Like when I unlocked and realized the mind, I was like, this is the Matrix. This is the fucking Matrix. The Matrix is in the ingredient list right in front of your fucking eyes. I'm not kidding. When I showed everyone in the street, like, what the fuck? Like, it was very scary. In Australia, we have a drink for kids. They give to kids. It's got milk in it. It's milk. It's a milk drink. Like, it's got like protein and all this shit. But till now, no one could explain to me, not a single person, why the fuck are they putting vegetable oil in a milk product?
Wow.
Till now, it shocked me. Till now, it actually, like, I think about it, I was like, bro, like, you know how many kids I know in Australia, you know, up and go, and they put billions of dollars in marketing for kids to drink Up and Go. And they know the health consequences of vegetable oils. They even tell you, like, oh, try to limit it. They know it, but they're putting it in a kid's product. And kids, and this is the thing they're even finding about vegetable oils and all that, is that they activate like the endocannabinoid system in a very different way. So it actually makes you more hungry. It doesn't make you satiated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and it makes you addicted to it. And so you see these kids pumping Up and Go. I used to drink Up and Go, think it was fine, until I turned and looked at the ingredients. I was like, holy shit, this vegetable oil. Like, can you think about that, boys, please? Does anyone drink milk? No.
Yeah, I drink from time to time. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I drink milk.
I love milk, natural milk. You know, like not the fucking ultra hydrated one, the one that you get from a bottle. If imagine right now you guys went to a supermarket and you grabbed milk, just milk, and then you looked at the back and it said vegetable oil. Wouldn't you look and be like, what the fuck? Like, why is there vegetable oil in milk? No one could explain to me till now. No one could explain to me why they're putting it in a kid's product. It's for kids mainly. Kids only drink it. And they know the effects of it, but they're putting it in a milk product, in milk. I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Answer, yeah, like for me, especially in Australia, I was telling everyone, like, you know, parents and everything, you know, to fix this, the main thing to do is to make everyone aware of it. You know, like I have like, I do want to start. I'm going to start a business very soon. Just I'm going to be pumping marketing and take the pendulum in the other direction, because they convince the world of this poison that they're giving to people on a consistent daily basis. I feel like it's my job, or essentially, to make people aware of this, and I want to use my story. And you know, people need to see a story. People need to see a reason, a platform. Okay, why are you speaking about this? Yeah, well, I have every reason to. I lost 110 kilos. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I've done my research. And the best way, for example, is to make it more available to people. Like back pre-1970, it was very easy to get beef fat ready. You can cook with it and all that. Now, even in Australia, unbelievable. I had to go through like 7 supermarkets in my area just to find like just beef fat ready. And even then, like, they don't stock it. They don't stock it much. And yeah, that's the main thing, is to actually educate. The same way they miseducated everyone, we have to take it back on the other end. You know, fight fire with water, and show people the way. Because there's people, like, you go research Dr. Krishnobi, all that. All they do is all they do is just change their nutrition.
Especially with that family name.
Just stay away from all these vegetable oils, cook with these animal fats and butter, and I promise you, lawahdom, their body starts naturally losing weight, because their body is now getting nourished with all these vitamins and minerals, and more importantly, their gut is getting nourished with all these healthy fats.
Rabia, the one thing I will have to like say is that people who get to this point and who consume that much, it's not always just about the taste of the food or just the availability of the food. A lot of it's emotional too, right? A lot of these people have psychological issues, and that's what's driving them to overconsume or make the wrong things or make bad choices, right? Like you say, make good choices like it's a piece of cake, right? But it's for a lot of people, it's like it's difficult. So what are your thoughts on, since you're talking about pharmaceuticals, like the mental health situation around the world, and like you know, I feel like more and more people are struggling and popping meds. What do you think, Paco?
No, before we move on to it, can I just say one thing? I think it's more about, because people can't afford beef fat. Because beef fat is not in demand anymore. It's not as largely in demand. You have to understand that beef fat, because it's not in demand, it's more expensive for the regular consumer. And the regular consumer only has a cap on what he can buy and cannot buy. Therefore, it's not that easy. I know it's beneficial to do the otherwise, other than like, as in get beef fat, get real vitamins for your body, but it's not affordable. So that's the issue. Like, that's the issue we live in now.
Eating healthy is expensive, actually. Yeah, it's, I feel like that's a part of the matrix that you guys are referring to, that they make the healthy substances more expensive so that they can keep the people, you know, just like constantly under control, in a way that
That's right.
they constantly purchase these the cheaper items.
That's right.
But I do want to go on to a point about before I go to this point, I think actually Ali's question should be answered about mental health.
Yeah, let's go on that one.
Okay. So now let me answer that very importantly. The most important mechanism that helps with your mental health is your nutrition. Case closed. Now, you see, your brain is 80%, like it's like 70% fat, right? And you need, I don't know if you guys obviously heard of the ketogenic diet and all that. Obviously, you guys should have heard of keto and all that. Keto. Why do they push it? Why is there sort of this low uptrend of people pushing the keto diet? And the keto diet, for example, they tell people eat butter, eat saturated fat, and all that. And every single, about 99% of people that do keto diets report the exact same effects. Better concentration, more satiation, they feel more full, they feel more satisfied, and they feel happier. Now, if you're eating unhealthy fats that are not filled with vitamins and minerals, guess what's going to happen? Your brain is going to pester you. It's going to knock, hey, I need vitamins, I need minerals, especially if you don't take multivitamins, and if you don't take these things and you're just popping pills and all that, your brain literally begs it. It's like, hello, I need these vitamins and minerals. And this overeating, right? I'm telling you, I went through it, comes from actually your body desiring these vitamins and minerals. So what do? You go McDonald's, you go Burger King, you go whatever, and your body is trying to actually get the fats that it's looking for, you don't know what it is, you're not aware of it, through more bad food. So it's a feedback loop. That's what happened to me. Of course,
It becomes an eating disorder.
It becomes an eating disorder. But the
Yeah.
person is actually just, their body is actually just requesting, right, the proper nutrition, proper vitamins and minerals. Now, I wanted to answer that question by Muhammad about beef fat. That as well is a misconception, right? You can go get, because Laham's butchers, they throw it. Some butchers in Australia were giving it to me for free because they're going to throw it. I swear to God. If you actually wanted to buy beef fat from a butcher in Australia, for example, he'll charge you $3-4 a kilo. A kilo.
Wow.
Now, a kilo. So, and if you melt it down, because all you got to do is melt it down for 3-4 hours. Once it's melted down, you have about 900 grams, 800 grams of proper nutritious fats. If you compare that with vegetable oil and canola oil, Habibi, it's not even in comparison. Right now, if you want to go get 5 liters of canola oil from the can or whatever, it's over 500,000 or 400,000, something like that. I'm telling you, there's lahams here that I bought a beef fat farm. They were giving it to me literally. He gave me a kilo of beef fat, and I have to go I have to do it myself. He gave it for me to like for meat elf, and he was even like, "Oh, don't worry about it." I was like, "No, I'll pay you." He's like, "Oh, whatever, 100,000." I'm not even kidding. Like,
yeah,
this is the thing.
I
But
agree.
yes, to answer that question, right? You are 100% right, because at the end of the day, not everyone, especially in Lebanon, is going to go and buy and sort of be aware of it and go buy it and then render it and melt it down and then put it. Even though it's very easy, it's very, very easy, and it's actually cheaper than vegetable oils. But what we need is actually entrepreneurs or an entrepreneur to process this and make it more cost affordable, more available for people. Now, we can all agree that Lebanese, especially, we love our stomach. We love food. A lot of people love food. Food is very important. In Australia, right? In Australia, what I was doing is that I was frying batata maqliya in beef fat, and I was frying it in oils, and I'd call 4 of my friends to come over.
And taste test.
Yes, not only that. I'd fry it in beef fat and fry it in vegetable oil, right? 2 plates. The one at 2 kilos, right? And sort of half a kilo of one fried vegetable oil. Every single one of them will مسح الصينية over there. They will مسحها. Literally, they will finish the ones in beef fat, and it's like they're eating candy. Like, whoa, they're eating it like that. You don't know why? Because your body and your taste buds, your saliva and everything is detecting the vitamins and minerals inside it. And every single one of them, when we have McDonald's, the French fries and McDonald's and all that in Australia, we'd get like heartburn, and it wouldn't sit in your stomach, especially now because my stomach's very sensitive, very, very, very sensitive. Every single one of them, 100% of my friends will be like, bro, I don't have magos. I don't feel like my stomach is hurting me and all that. I actually feel good. They all said the exact same thing. I feel good. I feel great.
The beautiful thing is they're not lazy anymore. Like, when you eat heavy, you just got house. You want to sit on the couch. You
get knocked out in a food coma.
But when you have, like, I've tried
And that's by design.
before.
That's by design. And
you feel like you want to do more. You want to do more. You're gonna feel a little lazy, of course, but
it's just it's very it's very simple. When you start with giving your body the best building materials, the best nutrition, your mind will eventually follow. But so as long as you're in a perpetual environment, it's called a feedback loop. So if you're in a feedback loop, if your current feedback loop is eat bad, feel bad, eat more to try and feel good, but you feel worse, so it goes. You keep going. You try to find more food and this, that, and all that. And then you keep trying to. So you're in a loop. You're stuck in a loop until you loop to death or unhealthiness.
That's exactly.
All right. You know something? Sorry, Ali.
Go for it, Saeed.
So something important that you also mentioned that helps to get out of this loop is awareness, which I feel like a lot of people fail to develop in their lives. And this is directly related, in my opinion, to the Matrix. But the term the Matrix, gets thrown around quite often, and obviously the first thing that we think of is the red pill, blue pill from the movie, and all, like, you know, reality
The
and like
Matrix.
escaping and staying within the box and all that. But if you could give us like a better explanation so that, you know, people can understand it a bit more.
That's right.
What is the Matrix? What is the Matrix? What is going on? Like, who is in the Matrix? Who's controlling the Matrix? What the fuck's going on? What is the Matrix?
Okay. I want to see if I could, 1 second, share my screen. 1 second.
You can go for it if you want. Yeah. Man.
He's gonna show us all the codes and all the
Yeah,
lists and
he's gonna be like Keanu Reeves right now. Yeah, exactly.
we're gonna
Okay,
be
here-
hacking in, you know, the
There you
chosen
go.
one.
Okay. Come look, Habib Albi. Look, don't worry. Let me teach all you people, and because I'll be honest with you as well. I love Andrew Tate, but there's a problem as well. He doesn't he throws it around, and especially for example, I hope to meet him because he hasn't even touched this topic, which is actually more important. Because he addresses a lot about the mind and all that, and how important it is to train and all that. But he actually hasn't. He doesn't know any idea about the history of food, and where our food sources come from, and all this stuff like that, right? So the Matrix, right? What they're actually saying, and what really the Matrix is, and if you watch you guys know the movie, it's it's sort of like a system, right? That's designed to make you believe a certain way. And it really kicked in after 1970, especially with the advancement of technology, because technology empowered weak and hyper powerful men to sort of leverage misinformation and target them. Now, I don't want to get into much detail because I don't want to get assassinated anytime soon. But
He goes, I like breathing so much.
yeah. But the way I can simplify it, right, is that the Matrix is a group of very hyper powerful men and people that have sort of conspired to give us a version of reality that is not consistent with actual reality. A little example of what I was telling you was the fact that convincing us, literally convincing people for thousands of years that all of a sudden butter and all this bad stuff is causing heart disease and all that shit like that. That is a Matrix attack. And it didn't take instantly, it wasn't instant, it took years and generations and all that. If I show you the first ads that Ogilvy and Mather made to convince Crisco, like Crisco is better than butter, you'd be shocked because back in the 1920s and 30s, they targeted people, they targeted the children of the parents and convince them that, making butter, it's a long process. Churning butter, you don't need a churner, you just buy it Crisco already made and all that. And this it's like vegetable salmon, it's not good for you. But here's an example of the Matrix, right? Let me share my screen.
Go for it.
Okay. Okay, let me just show you this. Okay, wait, where is it? Allah.
Yeah, I see it. Wow.
Okay, you guys see
I
this?
see. Yeah, I see that.
This is by far the most important image I can show you on Earth. On Earth.
This is the scariest image you ever see. Only a few companies own everybody.
This is not a joke. Look at this, right? If I zoom in, right? Ya Allah, I wish I could. There you go. All right. Can you see that,
Yeah,
boys?
I see it. Yeah, no, I see it clearly.
Look what Nestle
Wow.
owns. They own Wonka. They own Crunch. They own Rolo. They own Aero. They own all these. Lion. They own Lion. Nestle own Lion. They own all these chocolates. Chunky. They own. Look. Even food brands. I need to get you a better image. Sorry, 1 second. They own. Look, Milo. Milo is an Australian brand. You know what I mean? It's an Australian one. They own Milo. They own Nesquik. They own Perrier, the sparkling water.
Dasani and water. Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Not done. Pepsi.
Mhm.
Pepsi. You know Pepsi? They own Quaker's Oats. Pepsi. Listen. Pepsi is a drink company, but they also own Lay's, chips. Smith's is an Australian company for chips. They own Nerds. Look at all these brands. Kellogg's. Let's go with Kellogg's. They own Overling. They own Mazola. Mazola, Habibi. Mazola is vegetable salmon and it's made from corn. And that's probably the biggest salmon you could ever put in your body. not Sam Nez, the biggest Sam you could ever put on your body, right? And they own all these. Look, Crunchina. They, you know the supermarkets. We go to the supermarkets. We're like, oh wow, look at all these products and all that. Yeah, Cadbury. Look at this Cadbury. Look, sorry, so even in Australia we're used to Cadbury, but it's actually owned by Mondelez International.
I've actually
And
never heard of Mondelez. Wow.
Yeah, me neither.
exactly.
No,
Yeah.
Oh,
Mondelez is a big corporation. You know who Nestle owns now in Lebanon? In Lebanon? Sahha.
Oh wow.
oh
Water.
my
Yeah,
god.
Nestle owns
Yeah.
Now you're
Sahha.
starting.
But
now
they
you're
have
starting
their. Oh my god, man.
Yeah, bro. Look, they own Cadbury, Oreos, everything we're all used to, and all these products have vegetable oil. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. Even the chocolates. And chocolate, you don't need vegetable oil to make chocolate. You can just make it from cacao butter. But they specifically, by design, use vegetable oil, right?
It's like Disney Plus. Disney. Sorry, not Disney Plus. Disney with
Exactly.
the movie industries, and like major productions. Like for example, they bought Lucas Productions. I think is that was
Mhm.
it's called? Yeah, they
Yeah,
bought Star Wars
Lucasfilm.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, they own vitamin water, they own all these, they own Fuse, the tea, they own Fanta, they own Sprite, they own all the drinks that we are used to growing up with, they own it all. Unilever make tampons and pads for women. They make Axe body spray. They make in Australia, it's called Lynx. Pay attention. They own Peters, which is an ice cream brand. They own all these brands. Look, I can literally send you guys these photos, and you can reference it for yourself. But around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 companies, 10 in the whole globe, right? In the whole fucking globe, right? Are marketing us their products, and obviously there's an agenda. You can't deny that there's an agenda. And if you're meant to tell me and convince me that all these companies, all of them, they don't talk to each other, you're really ignorant. Because for them,
It's like Lebanese
it's a mafia.
politicians.
It's a mafia.
Wouldn't you block marrying his daughter to a Christian?
Yeah,
He was
exactly.
against the idea of Christianity. Crazy.
Bro, it's a big mafia. And they
All right.
know what they're doing.
Mhm.
That's
Rabia,
the best way.
All right, so you're an entrepreneur, Rabia, right? So how do you combat these companies right now? They're 10, too big to take down, but it seems like you have a plan of action. What do you think?
Obviously, I can't say my plan. And the reality is that look, I don't want to make enemies, but
Yeah.
the reality is that you can just look at history. Any person that wanted to do good, they're automatically an enemy, because when you aim to sort of take down. So let me just stop showing my screen.
Excellent. Yeah.
Oh, my sorry.
You don't want to make enemies, man. No one wants enemies, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Mhm.
When you don't want to make enemies, and by far, look, I don't want to like sort of take down their empire, but here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, right? A little can go a long way. Now, if we just look at the history, any religion, right? The biggest example that you can take from prophets, right, is that one man has the capability to change the whole world.
Well, I believe that for sure. Mhm.
That's the biggest lesson. And you know, the funniest part is that these men always started with one person. And then it causes an exponential effect.
Mhm.
The truth, like a lie, but the truth is more powerful than a lie, because the contagion effect of a truth resonates more with people. It resonates way, 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 way more with people. And the reality is, for example, let me just bring it back to when I was frying my just potatoes in beef fat. Every single one of my mates, they told me, "Where'd you get that beef fat from?" I told them, "Here, this is the exact supermarket you need to go to." And they went and they told their mum, "Please, mum, only make us fries in this because it's so delicious." Their mums tried it and they're like, "Whoa, holy shit, it's actually fucking delicious." It's so delicious. It's so delicious. And they don't have that stomach ache, all this bullshit, right? They don't have all these things. And they're like, "Why didn't I know about this?" One person caused a chain reaction between 6 families. Now, those 6 families then are going to cause another chain reaction,
Right.
with all these other families. Tell them, do this, cook with that, use this. Do you understand? This is exactly how it goes. But this is why these companies are sort of keeping the media in control. That's why they banned Andrew Tate. That's why they're silencing people that are speaking out, because of their power. But the thing is, you can't silence the truth for long. Eventually, even if they decide to take me out or whoever it is, there will always be someone else to come and replace me. There will always be someone else. You know, death isn't always the answer. It's a temporary band-aid fix to the problem. It's like, oh, shut him up now. But once the truth is out, right, it spreads like wildfire. Like, even if you look at Islam, like the religion of Islam, it didn't spread when Muhammad was alive. It did, but not as much as when he died. Do you understand? It really started to spread after he died, because they all sat down together and they're like, no, this is the truth, and we need it. Like, this is what they said. We need to spread it. Christianity, the exact same thing. Christianity was exactly the same. It was actually Christianity. If you look at it back then, it was between the followers of Christ. It was between the saints. Yes, the 12 apostles, and it was actually Paul, which his name was Saul of Tarsus. He was the one that came and pushed it when he had a vision about Christ and all that. And then the Roman Empire adopted it as a religion, because they said that, wow, this actually we can push people and all that. And this is exactly how it spreads, because once the truth comes out, everyone will start to resonate with the truth, right?
Right, and wake up.
And wake up.
But the problem, if you have one person doing it, one person's very easy to take out, right? So if you have like a Gandhi or a Martin Luther King or a John Lennon or JFK or whatever, like all these are people you talk about, right? That are like, they said the truth, and then with the people in power, like Andrew Tate, took them out. But if we're all aware and we're all awake and we can all think critically, you can't kill all of us. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
I think the most important part is not to focus on the individual that's spreading the truth. It's to focus on what they're saying. And that's the awareness that people fail to have, is whenever someone is speaking the truth, they focus on just the person themselves. Like, oh, we have to follow this person no matter what, instead of focusing on the words and the teachings of this person and following the teachings by itself. You know, they follow, like, even for the Prophet, like sometimes people can be misinformed, because what they do is they're constantly looking for the next hadith instead of just following, for example, the Quran. They just want to hear what the Prophet was saying, because he was the Prophet, he was the messenger of God. But in reality, his message was the Quran. That is enough. You know, that's where you start your path and you continue. The hadith is just I feel like it's extra information. I could be wrong about that, but for me, I feel like people should just focus on the Quran, because that's the message. Like, I'm saying from a religious standpoint. Obviously, there's multiple other examples, but this is the one that I was using.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know, like,
what are we gonna do now, man?
Yeah, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. So, like, you know, you guys, you obviously, to address your question, Ali, you said, like, you know, what are my plans and all that. I'm not going to say my plans, but look, a skill that I have really well is that I, like, my whole life I've been like this, is that I have a voice. I would say, like, I can resonate with people, and I'm a great salesman. And I believe every man on this earth should possess the ability to sell. Selling by far is the most powerful ability to possess as a man, because when you sell, life is all selling. Life, all of it's selling. You want to get married, you want to meet a girl, you want to this and that. You know, it's all relates to selling and being able to sell yourself, sell your ideas, sell your personality. This is all part of the process. And for me, look, I dropped out. I went the route of dropping out of pharmacy and realizing that this is not the systemic way of me living my life, and because I've always had dreams when I was young, but I realized that being in this pharmacy industry and all that, I was just following the dreams of my family and having a name, you know, like a name, like, oh, Ana Saydale, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm a pharmacist and all that. And it all brings back, like, let me bring it back full circle, right? The modern day has convinced people that the ego is the center of the world. The ego, your ego,
Right.
right? So
Yeah,
people
that's
want
very
fame,
true.
power, status, money, and all that, all these things, and it's all of that is centered on the ego. And I'll tell you, as a man that I've developed and the person that I've become, you know, building a very, very big business and having it all wiped out within a day because of coronavirus, my ego has been humbled. Very, 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 very humbled. And I thank God to the day I die for everything that has happened to me. Because moving forward, the way forward is actually not the ego. That's the way forward. The way forward is to actually really genuinely want to help people without being the figurehead. Oh, look at me, feed my ego, and all that. Do you know what I'm trying to say? The ego should actually be shared with people. Do you know what I mean? The blessings and the pride and all should be shared with people, but it should never be exaggerated. It should never be pushed too hard, because the ego can eventually be your own demise.
And how
Trust
would you
me.
advise people to maybe kill that ego, you know, in a sense, just to get rid of it?
Honestly, you need to go through a lot of trauma. You need to put yourself in situations that are uncomfortable. You need to be around people such as we're having this conversation that have been through something like that and that can give you their wisdom and information on life, right? Because no matter how smart you are in this world, you can never, ever, ever be born with wisdom. That's the reality. Whether you like to agree with it or not, even if you're the smartest 20-year-old genius, you can hack code, whatever, all that, that means nothing. If you're 20, you haven't been through it, well, depending on your trauma and everything, you haven't really been through enough life, for example, as say as a 30-year-old, right? But if you couple your intelligence with wisdom, that's how you can actually push and make people aware. The most important thing is that you need to, in order to be wise, you need to experience. That's the whole point of wisdom. The only way you can be wise is to be like, hey man, shut the fuck up. I've been through that. You haven't been through that. I've been through that. Let me give you my advice. That's the whole point of wisdom. That's exactly what it is.
You
Right?
know, Rabi, I don't want to cut you off, but I want to go on a little rant about the educational system right now. They've changed it from like, yeah, like you go out and do things and you learn from doing, but now it's like, oh, you memorize a book, and if you're shatter, then you'll get, an A, and you memorize everything, you get an A, but
Piece of paper.
but when we're out into now that I'm older and I'm going out in the real world, I'm like, all that was bullshit, it's like the things that actually taught me how to live my life are the things that I've done and not in some school, so yeah, I don't know, like so you just got to experience, you just got to go out and do things and be hard and live a life.
No. This is a message to all men and all people, really. But mainly I address this message to men. For men, you have to align yourself with your purpose in life, right? You need to cut out all the bullshit that keeps you distracted. The Instagram, the pornography, I would even argue and say excessive gaming, all that. You need to cut it out, because these things are actually distracting you from your innate desire for conquest and competition. And you see, let's just look at it for example, just competition, right? A game of soccer, right? The purpose of the team is to win. That's the purpose. And they all must work together to win. Very simple. Very, very simple. If you don't work together, you will not win. Case closed. You're not going to win. That's just how it is, right? And now let me ask you, if soccer players were playing a match, right? And you got 3 of the soccer players looking everywhere, looking at the crowd, or just, oh, wow, look at me and all that in the crowd. What do you think the teammates are going to do? They'll be like, shut the fuck up, focus. We have to win. Focus. We have to win. What the fuck are you doing? You understand? It's very, very, very simple.
Sure.
But we unfortunately live in a reality. It's called hyperstimulation. If you guys don't believe me, you can read the book, The Dopamine Detox. It's a very good book. I actually read it twice. It's actually a very, very good book. And we live in an environment now of hyper stimulation. You know what I mean? Like, even to the extent when you go on Instagram, you're automatically exposed to softcore pornography. it's It's actually a reality. Like, and this is having a subconscious effect on men. Men aren't designed to see that much ass squatting and girls. Our brains aren't designed like that. Our grandfathers will never see that much pussy. That's the reality. They will never see that much ass and shit their whole life. They will never see that, right? And they were more focused in working, getting shit done,
Very
doing
true.
this, things moving forward. We're living in a hyper-stimulated society by design. By design.
Completely agree. Yeah.
And this is also having massive ramifications in people and their health. What do you think obesity is as well? It's an overstimulation of food and unhealthy food. So you stimulate more and more, and you have more, and you need more, and you need more, and you need more, and you need more. And it's a constant. You're stimulating. You're not shutting your mouth. You keep eating. That's the whole issue. You're not shutting your mouth.
I feel like something that could help with that is, since this is probably propagated by our addiction to our phones, our just constantly being connected wherever we go. Since your phone is mobile with you, and it keeps you connected to the internet, to all of this stimuli that you will have negative effects on you. For me, something that I've been trying to do recently is time myself, decrease my screen time in general. I remember I did that very well when I visited Lebanon in August. Basically, I didn't get my Lebanese number with me. So that means I didn't have access to 3G. I didn't have access to anything. No Instagram, no WhatsApp. Whenever I leave the house, I have no access to anything. I can only use Wi-Fi. And people were weirded out when I told them about this, because I had to, because like at certain times I had to go meet people, and I need, I need GPS, I need Google Maps, I need stuff like that. And what I would do is basically plan the whole thing by saying, it's like, okay, are we going to meet at this location, meet at this time? Just go there and figure it out from there. And I watched as how my phone literally was telling me every week that your screen time is decreasing by like 20 hours every week. 20 hours, 20 hours, 20 hours. It keeps decreasing every time because I'm using my phone less and less every week. And I noticed that this had a healthy effect on me. And I feel like this is my advice to people is reduce your screen time, especially on your phone, specifically your phone, because I feel like that is the worst habit to have right now, the addiction to your phone.
100%. Let me address that though. Look, I run e-commerce businesses. So the unfortunate reality for me is that I'm tied to my phone every day. I've got no option. I actually have no option. I have to check my sales, to check analytics and all that. I have no option whatsoever. But there's a difference. Not everything is bad. That's we need to address that. Not everything is bad, right?
Yeah.
The quality.
Things have good and bad things in them, right? When I really pushed my business, King Sims, so this is my packaging, comes in gold and all that. There's a SIM card comes in it.
It's a very nice logo, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you guys can literally just go search it, kingsims.com.
I'm sending the link.
Yeah, kingsims.com. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like what's it called? What shadde, the cards and stuff, but like
a
luxurious one.
That's right.
It's all black and
it's all dahab in it and a QR code and all this stuff like that. Like I really built this business really well. But when I'll tell you honestly, when I went through my first heartbreak in 2018, and I decided to give King Sims, my business, my full attention, I was going through a problem. I was finding myself addicted to the dopamine farm called Facebook. It's a dopamine farm, like Instagram, the dopamine farms. And I was finding myself waking up, like to get myself out of my sadness and all that. And I'll just scroll through Facebook mindlessly for an hour, looking for the next funny thing and all that. And then when I actually took it upon myself to learn the algorithm, and obviously because I have to understand marketing very well, I was like, let me understand the system. How am I stuck in this this feedback loop of mindlessly scrolling for hours and watching all these ads? Because remember, the more ads you watch, the more Facebook get paid. It's a genius. It's very genius. Always remember this one rule. The more you stay on Facebook and Instagram, that's more money for Facebook and Instagram. Trust me. I've spent tens and tens. Literally, I've spent more than $100,000 in Facebook alone. I know exactly what I'm talking about. And when I discovered how dangerous, how scary this system was, I was frightened. I was like, holy shit. Every single thing that I've liked, every single thing that I've shared is indexed by Facebook. It's literally indexed. And they have like, imagine like it's a big spreadsheet, and they're like, and the things that you like and share is connected to a category. And this category is travel, humor, food, fucking working out, girls working out. They've micromanaged it, and they've separated everything. And there's like a little point system. They're like, oh, whoa, Muhammad and Ali has reacted to 10 food, you know, the selfie food things. He's reacted to 10 food images. So keep sending him more of that stuff. He likes it. That's what Saeed, he's on Facebook. Oh, whoa, he keeps looking at girls squatting and all that. Beautiful. Keep giving him that. Keep giving him that. And then when I started to learn and understand it, I got frightened, and I just completely went out. I've never had an Instagram my whole life. I've only got a business Instagram. That's it. But for me, when I realized that, I was so frightened that I literally just stopped going on Facebook. And my brain, by default, was starting to repair and come back, because it wasn't getting these constant dopamine hits and dopamine hits. And this overstimulation of your brain eventually makes you lazy and tired, and like, I don't have energy anymore, because your brain has already been extracted. That's why they call it dopamine farms. It's been extracted of all the dopamine left. That's exactly what's happening. And when I realized the truth, and when I realized how powerful it is, I said enough is enough. And, you know, to address your question, Saeed, that you said about screen time and all that, the only reason why you did that is because you needed a mechanism to increase your discipline. That's really as it is. And every man in this world, and coming from a person that lacked discipline, have problems with their discipline. It's by design.
Very true.
Well, yeah, you're fighting against things that are so hard to. It's really hard. You need to be really powerful. People are like, "Oh, life's easy," but I feel like no, you need to put in the effort to get a strong mind, to be disciplined enough to get through it. And it's pretty cool. I'm looking at your website right now. It looks pretty like. Congrats, man. How epic is it, dude? You gotta
so much.
Look at that. Kingsims.com. Check it out. Do you want to tell us a bit about it?
Yes. So we supply travel SIM cards to travelers before they arrive in the destination country. And basically, I solve a massive problem for travelers when they firstly, they don't want to use expensive mobile roaming, because it's very, very expensive. And secondly, a lot of airport stores, they sell you prepaid SIMs at a very, very inflated high price, because they know you're a traveler, you don't know the prices and all that there. So what I did is I created a company, a business, and I was actually one of the first, pretty much like one of the first people in the world. I'm not even kidding, I'm not exaggerating this, because no one in America is doing this. And I'm expanding to America very soon. I'm actually expanding to the UK. I have customers all over the world, but my main customer base is in Australia because of logistics, because I'm set up in Australia. All my SIMs, my stock is in Australia, so by default I target Australians, but I still get international orders, right? And what I do is solve a massive problem for travelers, and I help them get connected to 4G data with the local number and everything like that before they even arrive in that country. So when they arrive, all they have to do is use the King Sims, you know, open the beautiful packaging. Everything comes even with a SIM pin. Like I got a SIM pin that I'll show you, that even has like the little king on it. You know what I mean? Like everything is custom made and all that. And yeah, like it's all pretty much ready. So when you plug it into your phone, you'll be connected while still in the plane, and off you go. That's my business.
You save your customer
very
time.
simple, very simple, very simple idea. You know, like I don't agree with all this Silicon Valley, all this bullshit startups that they're trying to make all these complicated technology, all this bullshit that they're doing and overcomplicating and all that. No. The best way to start a business is to just provide value to the consumer. You have to provide value.
And that's what you did. Sorry, but you saved the customer time. When they travel, they don't have much time. They don't want to waste their time talking to other people they don't need. Like, for instance, your cell phone. Like, when you get to the airport, you need a cell phone. All right, you need to communicate with the next person. The only communicator is having the phone. And you fill the void in with, you're already prepared with everything you need right off the bat instead of going to the cell phone distributor and like taking up time picking up a SIM card. You have to sign a contract. You
That's
just
right.
literally save them time that they need for other things.
All right, I'm
Yeah.
sold, man. I want one. Send me one.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
No
exactly.
problem. No worries. Saeed, you're in London, right?
Yeah.
All right, watch this.
Should I send you my postcode as well?
No. You obviously know this company 3, right?
Yeah, of course.
Exactly. All right, I have a contract with them, right? So I sell, I give them this UK SIM, and it works in 72 destinations, right? It also works on all of Europe, with the one SIM card. That's it. It works on all of Europe, and obviously, Ali, you're in America,
LA.
right?
Yeah.
LA. This is
California.
T-Mobile. I have one of the biggest contracts with T-Mobile.
Wow,
I
have
sell,
T-Mobile.
yeah, I sell more T-Mobile SIMs than the airport stores. And eventually, because my customers were expanding, and sometimes if they had issues, they would automatically go to like a T-Mobile store in the airport or close by. The T-Mobile reps were getting dirty because they're their own independent dealer. They want the customer, and they were like, "Oh, who is this company, King Sims? They're not a legitimate company. All this and that." Like they were bagging me out because I was doing a way better job than them. Literally, that's exactly what I was doing. That's why T-Mobile loved me, because I'm like, I've made it hyper efficient. I've made it very, very efficient to get connected to the unlimited data plan, unlimited 5G, unlimited 4G data. And for travelers to have an experience like locals, it's a great idea. It's a great business.
How did you make a one SIM card that can work in multiple countries, multiple locations?
I
That's the
didn't.
secret sauce.
I strategically found the carriers. So 3 is an example of them. 3 have roaming agreements with all of Europe because of the nature of the Europeans traveling in between Europe and all that. So I said, okay, strategically, instead of making a deal with T-Mobile in Germany because they don't have that feature where you can roam, I'll make it with 3 in the United Kingdom. And plus, I'm an Australian company and all that, so it's very easy to get it set up and convince them to send me the stock to Australia and all that. So they had that trust or sort of there. And I strategically got it. And now as well, you guys can check on my website. I have Southeast Asian SIM. So they work in 6 destinations in Southeast Asia. I as well plan on getting more SIM cards for that roam, so that you just have one SIM that works in multiple destinations. For example, let me like even
I need one of those.
right now. Yeah, one of them right now as well. You guys can check. I sell Qatar eSIMs, and I'm selling it for the FIFA World Cup. And so now as well, eSIMs is like a new technology. You don't even, if you have new phones, the fairly new phones, you can pretty much just download the SIM card onto your phone, and you're connected in minutes. So I'm actually one of the first, I would think, in the world to offer these Qatar eSIMs, and now I'm starting to sell them to travelers all over the world. And this is sort of helping my business just scale exponentially, because instead of actually getting the physical SIM to you before you fly, I'll just get you to scan a QR code from your email. Done. You're finished. And we're also working on a King Sims app. It should be finished by end of December, hopefully, inshallah.
Inshallah, man. How
Inshallah.
cool. Yeah, congrats on all that. And I need one. I need one. It's not that I want one. I need one.
Don't worry, you guys will get free SIMs for life. Don't worry.
Yeah, let's go. All right.
Sick, man.
We are kind of wrapping up on time. I don't know, Paco or Zaid, if you have a last question before we wrap up here. Yeah.
I actually have 2 questions, if that's
Sure.
all right. Yeah. So
Go
the
for
first one is so one of them is a bit personal, and the one is just something that I like to ask usually at the end of the show. So I'm going to ask that one first, which is, what's a question that you'd like to ask us after sitting with us for the past hour, talking and getting to know us? Obviously, we got to know you now, so I'd like to give you a question.
Of course. So, what is your actual purpose with creating this podcast? Because obviously, I can feel that you boys sort of have a hidden vision between yourselves. Muhammad told me it's out of boredom, but I don't buy that. I don't believe that.
Well, no, it started like that. All right, I'm gonna tell you the truth. First, well, I'd be happy to share this. what's it called? It started off with boredom, and then it moved into like I need to market myself. Like I need to I need to set a name for myself in this world. So I was like,
That's right.
I mean, podcast is a good destination to where I want to be because people are now more into podcasts and more. It's like a news channel. A podcast is like a replacement of the radio channel. If you notice that people are listening to more podcasts than they are listening to their own radio, which is a good thing and a bad thing.
Mhm.
Because in today and age we have a lot of information. Information is now free. Before it was like how much a newspaper will cost 10 cents at that time. So you have to understand that now we are information. We are the goal for people to learn more. We are the resource for information. We are nothing. Look, we are nothing, but we are everything.
Mhm.
So
Adi,
yeah.
do you want to share
Wow.
your answer?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's I do see it as a way for me to escape the matrix, and to escape the slave world, and definitely my goal. Like, I just wanna, when I'm older, just to live the life I want to live, do the things I want to do, and I won't get bored. Trust me. There are many things that I'm interested and passionate about. In terms of financial freedom with YouTube and the internet, the internet's a money machine, right? That's where all the money is. I'm working a job and there's no way I'm ever going to get the amount of money that I want to get. So this is a source. And then networking, I love meeting people like you, Rabia, and others, that are accomplished, and it's changing my mindset, and it's cool to make friends around the world. And the information thing. Uh, I love collecting books. I love collecting information, and because I don't, I have this fear in the back of my mind. Maybe I'm a bit paranoid, but I feel like maybe we're gonna go into a world where information is gonna be a bit more censored or restricted and stuff like that. So I'm taking the opportunity I have now to gather all the information, pretty much.
And for
Mm,
me, I would
idea.
say I whenever I go into something, I feel like I always have multiple reasons to do it. And for the podcast, definitely multiple reasons.
And it's fun.
But
Yeah, exactly.
it
More
is
than
fun.
that, too. Yeah,
One, it's fun.
exactly.
Two, it's a project that was made by was started by my friends, and they told me to join them from the beginning. So for me, one of the things that I've recently been trying to focus on is like do more projects with people that you trust, especially your friends, because I feel especially the ones that you really know, because and I know these guys for a while. I've known them for years. So when they want to put their minds to something, I know this is where I just set myself aside. Like you know how people constantly things like they have to be in charge, although
Mm,
especially when it comes to working with your friends and working with stuff like that, they always say don't work with family, don't work with friends. No, I feel like that's has to do with your ego and stuff. Get your ego checked, join the club, guys, and you guys can make something amazing together. Another reason obviously is learning. So much to learn, so much to understand, and it's fun, man. It's a great experience to have, to just go through these conversations with people that you can meet from around the world. Maybe even one day you can just meet them in person, and you take obviously you take different parts. Everyone has different ways of taking different information from people, and I feel like this helps me become more aware, more understanding of how things work. So these are, I guess, some of the reasons I can think of the top of my head.
mhm. Wow. And it's about the team also, as you said. It's a very non-ego thing for me. It's like I the reason to keep doing it is because if I don't show up, sites, is gonna be without me, and Paco, if I
Yeah.
don't show up, we're not, like, we all have to be here for each other to make it work, and it's like that for me is also a huge motivator. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, so
perfect.
let me actually address that. The greatest value that men can actually provide in this world is sharing their ideas and their experiences and wisdom with other men. You see, this is why as well the podcast thing has sort of actually exploded, is because there's this huge market of men that are actually blatantly lost. That's the
Mm.
truth. And they're overstimulated. They've got too much going on. They've got their own problems. Do you know what I mean? And they feel like they need a sense of direction. Direction is extraordinarily important for a man, because we need to know where the fuck we're going. It's that simple. If you're living a day in, day out, you don't know where you're going, you're going to get depressed. You're going to get sad. You're going to feel like there's a disconnect in your heart. And that's what I'll tell you with what I did, everything in my life, is to sort of ground myself, is to enforce the direction that I need to go in my life. And what you guys are doing is something great. You know, the more interesting people you get on this podcast, you know what I mean? Like if we push, like I probably do the marketing for this podcast and get a lot of people, but you know, if we can sort of push good messages and send it out through like using the medium that we have available, trust me, what we say here doesn't just resonate with you, but it resonates with millions of other people that feel the exact same way, but don't have a platform to speak, right? So it's great that you guys are doing this, honestly. Like, you know, you never know what happens, you know? If we become more successful, or I become very successful, and, you know, the unfortunate reality is that in this world, what you do and how much money you make or what power you have is actually essential in order to spread a message. That's the most necessary element, is spreading a message. So yeah, that's what we need to do, man. We just need to spread this message more.
Let's do it.
And the final question that the other question that I wanted to ask was the personal one. I remember so obviously we talked in the beginning about your weight loss, and I just wanted to ask you something about the whole process of the weight loss. Was it for you to accept yourself to accept your past, how you looked, or was it to look for a new Rabia?
Very good question. I feel like though the best way to answer it is now, especially with the person that I am now, is that I try to dissociate myself of that person that I was, because I really believe that the person you're seeing in front of you is Rabia, right? Is actually Rabia. The person that was there before was, I would say, a very down-tuned version of Rabia. Do you know what I mean? A very Matrix-influenced Rabia. Yeah, that's the best way I can say it. And you see, look, one man has a lot of power in this world. And as you can see from even my weight loss and all that, I was in essentially a powerless state. If I didn't have any confidence in myself, let's say I was like I look like that now. There's no way I would actually be here on this podcast to like feel confident enough to speak. Do you know what I mean? And this all ties down to our self-image. This is the most important thing, because I hope this resonates with a lot of other people since when we push this. Is that your self-image is very, very, very important. How you manage your self-image manages how you deal with people. If you love yourself inside and you appreciate who you are inside, you wouldn't lose it. You would not lose it.
That's beautiful.
Again, thanks for setting us up with Rabia. It's
no, bro.
Yeah. And Paco, is there anything else you want to ask before we wrap up?
No, bro, man. As long as everyone's safe and healthy, we all good.
Thanks, man. Yeah, exactly.
Words
Thanks
from
for
Paco.
coming on. Saeed, you want to wrap up real quick?
Guys, another day, another episode with Rabia, Paco, me, and Ali. This was a great episode, guys. This is full of like mind-bending information, and just, like, learning about stuff. Let's just end this, guys. Salute to the camera. And
Adios.
Yalla,